Hey art friends, it is time to talk about the art of Zentangle. Soon we're going to do a group project where we Zentangle all over something. But I want to show you some basics first. This is just one of many guides that are out there for Zentangling. It's just a way of drawing or doodling to give your mind some peace. We're going to start with these four basics first. We have got one that looks like checkers, this design here that looks like some bubbles, this that looks a little bit like lightning, clearly we've got triangles, and the fourth is spirals. When we look at the Zentangles that we're going to do first, it's just four get us started. In my book that I'm looking at here, it calls this first one Knight's Bridge, which starts out with a square and then an arcing line, any kind of line to break up the space of that square. And once you've drawn that arcing line, you draw lines that intersect. So these lines are running parallel, and these lines are running parallel to each other, which quickly forms these squares, or almost squares. Then we fill in those squares with black, and we're done. That was quick and easy. On the right side, here's where I was practicing a little bit by first drawing my square freehand, no ruler, and then breaking up the space, dividing with parallel lines going two directions to create that effect of squares. You color black, white, and you alternate white, black, black. And that's how you get black, white, black in alternating pattern. So that's the Knight's Bridge, one pattern to color with. The second one in my book here is called the Crescent Moon. You break up your space. First you freehand draw a square, then you break up your space, after which you make some half circles along the edge. Notice that there is a little space between each half circle. That's pretty important, because after you've gone over the half circle and made it black, you want to make another little outline or a bubble around that shape. At which point, you will continue to make additional bubbles so it's growing in toward the middle. Here I have not done a very careful job. I want to point out that this line is a little bit of an S line, breaking up the space. But as I fill in each half circle and then the next bubble, it repeats and gets tighter and tighter into the center of my design. The third design is called Rain. And you begin by freehand drawing a square. And then from one corner, we have three curved lines radiating away. Then you'll take a mark making tool and you'll do a zigzag across the line. On each of the three lines, a zigzag line that crosses that line creates these triangle shapes, at which point we color those in. And then we outline or create a little bubble with straight corners around our triangles. And this, what I think looks a little bit like a lightning bolt. And so you can continue outlining those lightning bolts with more and more repeated lines. I just began one here. The fourth design we're going to talk about today is printemps, which is a French word, but it's spirals. We start with a freehand drawing of a square, and then we draw one spiral. From that large spiral, we can then create another spiral, but I want you to try and see carefully that there are signs of overlapping. The shapes we draw earlier look to be in the front, and as we go on, we will stop our pencil, skip, and go again. And when we stop and skip, we create the illusion of overlapping. Now this probably was a last mark, and you can see that it's mostly not complete circles because we want these others to appear in the front. And when you darken those lines, it has a really interesting doodly effect. My last bit in this book is when we put all the ideas together. So here we have that checkerboard pattern, and we have enough spaces to do all four. So there's the lightning bolt pattern we call rain. There's my spirals pattern. And here are the little half circles going around the edge. Those are the basics, but we're not done yet. Here's a pattern created by diagonal and vertical lines all intersecting in the center, and then just a little bump, a quarter of a circle to create this flower design. Repeat it again and again and again and again until you filled up your space. When you've done that with a line, then I tried and shaded that in with a black and white pattern. It was an enjoyable creation for sure. Here's a new pattern. This one starts in the corners with some arcs and a dark center. It's like one line that has a black middle and white on the left and right. When I darken that in, then I can create another arcing line from corner to corner along the sides. Note the overlapping appearance here. When I started in the corner, the rest of my lines will look like they go underneath that line. So when we've darkened in these lines that we did along the side from corner to corner on the top here, for example, then it was time to do a new series from side to side, from top to side. And again, we stop, skip, and go again to create the overlapping effect. As we continue on, it gets quite complex and quite interesting to look at. This is one that I created following those steps, starting with my lines in the corners, and then going along the top, the side, the bottom, the side. Third step was to go from side to top, top to side, side to bottom, bottom to side, and so on until it looks like you're really getting deep into the picture. This is the kind of doodle I would do even before Zentangle was popularized. Just a bunch of big circles and medium-sized circles, and then small circles where you can fit them. It sort of looks like pebbles to me. I will also provide you with a handout full of Tangle ideas. Once you've gotten the basics down, you'll understand more or less how to start a tangle and grow as you think about this to fill up a whole little square with your patterns. We tend to use black and white, just a pen on white paper or a Sharpie on white paper for a beautiful effect.